Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm Vicky, you all know that. And this morning I had an insane amount of messages from Facebook, Twitter, text, WhatsApp, whatever, telling me get online quick, and CM Punk has done a podcast with Colt Cabana and he's explaining why he left and things like that. So it was like quite early. I tried to crawl out of bed to make sure I was up and listening to the show, so I have listened and I have some thoughts on it, so I thought that I would bounce them out onto the internet because, you know, that's what I do. I took some on my phone which I'll just read off kind of casually. I know that's not very kind of professional, I guess, but I can't remember everything, so you gotta forgive that. But I did write some down. I did go back and listen to a few parts again just to be clear, and listen to a few parts a second time just so I was, you know, correct my information and things like that. So we'll get onto it. I know that it's a little bit bright in here, the sun is out, my light is on and things like that, so maybe if I scooch over a bit. But yeah, let's kind of get onto it. I was trying to figure out how to kind of word everything, and I didn't want to. At first I was going to go through everything point by point, and I think that would be like an 8-hour long video. Well, it wouldn't be, but it'd be long enough. So I've kind of decided to give in around 6-7 points. I do urge anyone that likes podcasts and punk and things like that, or even if you're just curious, go have a listen, and I think you'll be very, very surprised. It's very honest and it's very candid. There's a lot of kind of moments where I was like, whoa, you know. It is 2 hours long, so it is quite long. I did take a break an hour in just because there was a lot of information going on, like he was saying a lot, and I wanted a cup of tea and a shower, so I wasn't initially going to do a video like this because sometimes I get a lot of flack about my opinions, but I kind of said fuck it, I'm doing it, I don't care. Actually, the person that told me to do it was Chris, and I agreed this is a good idea. So yeah, like I said, I'm just going to randomly talk about a few different parts. Please go listen to it, and seriously, like, keep an open mind. Whether you hate the guy or love the guy, go with an open mind and have a listen, and I think you'll be quite surprised. I mentioned that there was no real big reason why he left. A lot of it was injury. He was just fed up. I think he just, like, what he kind of said was that he fell out of love with pro wrestling, and I can kind of understand why. I mean, the storylines aren't going the way, like, he dropped the belt to The Rock, you know, he's not main event in WrestleMania, things like that. So I think the main, whilst those are all factors, I think the main reason was health and well-being, you know. A few things that I want to talk about personally that I've kind of segmented out onto this is, and on my phone, there's two on my phone. When working with Ryback initially, I didn't like any of that, and that's the reason I want to speak about it. Is I'm not the biggest Ryback fan. I do wish he would get a push sometimes, but I've heard before, not just from the Punk stuff, but I've heard before that he is dangerous in the ring. He hurts people, really hurts them, and that's why I don't really get on board with Ryback. I mean, there's just really no need. But he said, Punk mentioned that Ryback is the steroid guy. I think that's quite a brass statement to say, especially to the audience that is going to receive this. Like, think of how many people are going to watch and listen to this podcast. Well, not watch, but, you know, they're going to have it on. So to say that, I was just like, whoa. But he just said that he kicked him so hard in the match that either he broke his ribs or he really hurt, like bruised his ribs. I think that, and Punk mentioned there was no sorry from Ryback, there was no remorse at all. So that kind of pissed him off. And then, like, when they were turning Heyman and Punk into like a big thing, Punk said that he was delighted because he knew that working with Heyman would be great, and like he loved Curtis Axel and didn't understand why Triple H wouldn't elevate him. Punk wanted to really put Axel over, just because Triple H wouldn't. And he mentioned that with that whole thing with Ryback, he kind of went to Ryback and Gorilla and said, like, you know, let's do this, let's just show them that you're good, and, you know, make it something to talk about. And Gorilla pressed him into a table but missed and got him onto the concrete, so he was injured again, and it was all to do with this like pelvic area, stuff like that. So Punk was just really pissed about that. I hope his camera's on. But he said about Rusev with with Rumble last year gone. That is my belly rumbling if you can hear it. He said that Rusev was shit scared of him, and he mentioned, because Punk was the first guy in the ring, he mentioned to Rusev, don't just hit me in the corner, like really hurt me, really, you know, make yourself known to people, impress people, that's what I want you to do. And I've heard that before as well, like I keep saying it, I know, but he was always someone to talk to. Even on his DVD he said it, or someone else said it, he's always someone to encourage others in the back. I suppose like a trainer would be. Whenever he was injured, they used to just put him on the Z-Pack antibiotics, I'm guessing that's what they are. He was on so many at one point that he shot himself at a live event. I think it was SmackDown, he said, and he tweeted about it laughing, thinking it was funny, because I mean he shot himself, and WWE asked him to take it down, and he did, and he blocked WWE's Twitter, but he also retweeted somebody else saying some kind of poo joke. You know, he was just on so many tablets and antibiotics that he pooed himself. Mentioned that the only real people to say fuck you to Vince was him and Cena, and maybe Orton as well, but Vince would always, like after his elbow surgery, his knee surgery, and like a few other things, Vince would say, I owe you one, I owe you one. He wanted him to work even though he was injured and hadn't kind of rehabbed correctly. And like Punk's biggest thing was that he'd done all these things for so many years for the company, for the guys, and all he wanted to do was main event WrestleMania, and he didn't even get that. Even though if you think back to like WrestleMania matches, especially the Undertaker one and stuff, the Undertaker match against Punk was so good, and Punk said that he got paid less than the others, and he just felt that that was the standout match. He should have got paid the same. He made the match what it was. Like they both did, really, let's be honest with you. But he just said that I'll read this off my phone. He just said that about Vince owing him. He said, I've worked with guys that are fucking dangerous, and you said you owed me. That he had done so much for the company, and he mentioned about the concussion policy, and that there should be one implemented, or should be worked on more, that he and others just worked through them. He got concussion through Royal Rumble, and if you can see that clearly when you watch it back, he got concussion and still worked. Mentioned about the concussion policy, and that there should be one implemented, or should be worked on more, that he and others just worked through them. He got concussion through Royal Rumble, and if you can see that clearly when you watch it back, he got concussion and still worked. I think that's crazy. But at the same time, I understand that Corey Graves can't wrestle anymore because he's always getting concussions. I think he said, I found this really interesting. He said that Batista versus Randy Orton was from an old, out of touch mind, and he was really stoked when they made the change and put Daniel Bryan in the match and gave him his moment. I wrote that down because I listened to it twice. A lot of people seem to think that there's some kind of rivalry between Batista and Punk when there's not. I think they're really good friends, to be fair, and I think he said that as well. And I'm just really sick of internet fans kind of creating all this shit. He mentioned a lot about his health and his injuries. He said he had a huge bump on his back, and it was, he said, I think he said it got bigger and bigger, and it kind of became this big thing, and Doc refused to cut it out and kept putting him on antibiotics because they needed him to wrestle, they needed him to do house shows, tours, signings, etc, etc. And he went to AJ's doctor in Tampa, I think a couple of weeks after he had initially quit WWE, and they said it was a staph infection, which I think it's like bacteria and stuff like that, but he said it was quite serious. It is a serious issue. He needed to go to, like, the doctor was like, you need to be in hospital and on an antibiotic IV drip, and I quote that it was the most painful thing that he's ever gone through. He's had tattoos that have hurt, but this was the most painful thing. He said, because it was disgusting actually the way he was describing it, was very weird. He said that the doctor squeezed the life out of this thing, and it was just stuff going everywhere. He said he was in so much pain, it was so sore that he was sweating profusely and gripping the table. He was given 3 months worth of antibiotics and told that working on a staph infection was serious stuff and that he could have died. He said that he felt so much better when that was all done. He could sleep, he could, you know, do things again. He said he got a phone call from Vince to say that he was suspended for 2 months. He said that that was finished the day after WrestleMania. He didn't really mind. He didn't hear anything, and he got told on an investor call that Vince had him down as on a sabbatical leave. He said about finding a royalty check and asking for it to be reissued, and then it was a big deal asking for royalty checks, because we didn't know, as fans were not told enough. But what WWE don't mention is that in fact Cena wasn't the biggest merch seller, it was CM Punk. And I believe that, I well believe that. I have so many things. I have a hoodie here behind me that is CM Punk. I have several t-shirts. I know tons of my friends and stuff have it. I know a guy who runs a merch store in Ireland, and he's always selling out of CM Punk stuff and always struggling to get it back in, especially now. With all this time that he had time to plan his wedding, honeymoon, and watch the Blackhawks, which, you know, if you know Punk, if you're a follower, that you know that they're his team, Chicago Hockey. And he got a text from Triple H asking him if he had time to talk. It pissed Punk off because he's going on his honeymoon, and he's planning his honeymoon and getting married in 2 days. So 2 days, and that's what he wrote back to Triple H. And then on his wedding morning, he got a FedEx from WWE to say that he was in breach of his contract and that he had been terminated. And he said that he feels like it was a calculated move, and it was ridiculous. I'm not going to read out too much more of my notes because I do want people to watch, or I do want people to listen to it. I will just mention one thing which I was so surprised about, but when I think back, it makes sense. I'm not going to read out too much more of my notes because I do want people to watch, or I do want people to listen to it. I will just mention one thing which I was so surprised about, but when I think back, it makes sense. He said that initially the Shield was his idea, in the regards that Vince and Triple H wanted him to plan a heel stable, and they initially wanted Punk with the Big Show, Daniel Bryan, and Seth Rollins. and that they wanted him to go down to FCW, get Seth, and that would be the heel stable. And he thought no, so he seeked out Chris Hero, which is Cassius Ohno. I think he seeked out Hero, Rollins and Ambrose, and Triple H vetoed Hero and put in Roman Reigns. I don't know how to pronounce his name, Leaky or Leechai or whatever I fucking call him. He put him in instead as the good looking one and stuff, and he could learn. So that was like, whoa, you know, that kind of. And then I think back to all the pictures that you've seen on these dirt sheets, you know, all this fucking shite about they wanted Punk to join the Shield and all this kind of stuff, and in regards it was his idea. So I just think that I just thought, whoa, there were so many times I was like literally shocked about what he was saying. Again, like, I'm not going into it in too much detail. I want people to listen and get an understanding of why he left, and listen to him when he's saying that he left. He hugged Vince goodbye. He shook Triple H's hand and he left. He didn't just walk out. I mean, you can argue till you're blue in the face about the fans and pissing off the fans and things like that, but if you try reverse the roles and put yourself into his position, you're probably so fucked after everything, and you're probably so injured, tired, you know, annoyed, everything. The last thing on your mind is your fans, because you're so worried about yourself. And I can kind of see that now. I don't think I've given out about him too much. I think I've always just remained of the mind that there was a reason behind it. I know some of my friends were indifferent, but to kind of get a text 2 days before your wedding to say, you know, can we talk, like, so initially that is, we want you to work, and then to get a termination notice even though you're on an independent contract on your wedding morning, that's a bit much. And yeah, my eyes have been opened a bit, if I'm being honest. I know for a fact, before people go on, I don't think he's the type of man to say all of this if there was no truth to it, because he could be in a lot of shit. So, you know, that's just me saying that. I hope this was informative. I don't know. I have a lot more respect for Punk at the moment than I did before. I still miss him. I still miss the wrestling and the style and his promos and stuff, and I love how he says he hates the word pipe bomb now. But on the other side, I'm concerned about AJ now, because obviously she's still in WWE. There are rumours of her leaving, but there's always rumours, which is the problem. I have nothing else to say other than go listen and let me know in the comments what you think, if you enjoyed it, or if you have any kind of comment, let me know. I will see you soon. I think I am going to Video Diary this weekend, as I'm going to PCW versus Ring of Honor weekend in Preston. I'm so excited. So excited, like, just awesome. And I think I'm most excited about Lance Storm because I just think he's awesome. And if Alice Radley is watching this, and I think she would be, then yeah, I want to be on your show soon. But yeah, have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye!